What's up, celebrity watchers? We're diving into some serious drama today that has the internet absolutely divided. Ice-T's wife, Coco Austin, is back in the headlines, and not for the reasons you might think. This 46-year-old model and reality star has been getting absolutely roasted online for her latest bikini photos. But instead of backing down, she's doubling down with some pretty bold claims that have people saying, is there no shame? Let's break down this messy situation. So here's what's been happening. Coco Austin recently posted images on Instagram wearing a red, white, and blue thong bikini paired with red mule heels, with strategically placed stars covering her chest. She captioned the post by popular request, "My traditional 4th of July bikini pics." Because apparently this is an annual tradition that we're all supposed to be excited about. But honey, the internet was not having it. Earlier in June, she had already uploaded photos of herself wearing a bikini while sitting on a beach chair, captioning the carousel, "It's that time of year again." And let me tell you, the comments section has been absolutely brutal. People are calling her photos everything from grotesque to uncomfortable. And some fans are straight up telling her to cover up. One critic even said she's almost as bad as Kanye's wife. And that's saying something. But wait, it gets worse. The criticism isn't just about the photos themselves. People are bringing her role as a mother into this drama. Critics are saying she should do better for her daughter, and questioning whether this is appropriate behavior for someone who's supposed to be a role model. Some supporters did flood her Instagram comments with fire and heart eye emojis, calling her beautiful and super sexy, saying she's been one of the baddest for decades yet so underrated. But the negative voices seem to be drowning out the positive ones, and people are asking some tough questions about age-appropriate content and parental responsibility. The phrase, "Is there no shame?" has been trending in connection with Coco's posts, and honestly, it's becoming a legitimate question that a lot of people want answered. Now here's where things get really interesting. Instead of apologizing or toning things down, Coco Austin is fighting back with some pretty audacious claims. She's not just defending her right to post bikini photos. She's saying she basically invented the whole game. According to Coco, she's been paving the way for girls online today, and she's not about to stop now just because people are uncomfortable. She's essentially telling her critics that they don't understand her historical significance in the modeling and online content world. But here's the thing, this isn't the first time Coco has made these kinds of claims, and the internet has receipts. Let's take a trip down memory lane, because this pattern of behavior isn't new. Back in 2018, Coco made headlines when she claimed, "I helped pave the way for thick girls during the skinny genre, during the Kate Moss days, what they call the waif era, to be noticed as beautiful." She said this was back before social media, when magazines were popping. Back before Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj. The internet absolutely dragged her for those comments. People weren't quite sure how to take her claims about being a pioneer for curvy women, especially when she seemed to be taking credit for breaking barriers that many felt had been broken by others long before her. The reaction was so intense that people accused her of cultural appropriation, questioning whether she was taking credit for something that Black women and other communities had been doing for decades. The phrase, "how sway," became a popular response to her claims, with people genuinely confused about how she came to these conclusions. Now, in 2025, Coco is making similar claims, but this time about being a pioneer of online content creation. She's referencing the early days of the internet when model Cindy Margolis was the it girl, and how she followed in Margolis' footsteps to get a website and post content online. Coco is essentially arguing that she was doing what influencers and content creators do today before it was cool, before it was mainstream, and before it was profitable. She's positioning herself as someone who was ahead of her time and deserves recognition for paving the way for the current generation of online personalities. But the internet is not buying it, and the responses have been just as brutal as they were back in 2018. Of course, we can't talk about Coco Austin without mentioning her husband's response to all this drama. Ice-T has historically hit back at commenters who criticized his wife's provocative photos, not tolerating people commenting negatively about Coco's Instagram posts. The rapper and actor has made it clear that he's not here for the criticism of his wife, and he's willing to go to bat for her when people cross the line. But even Ice-T's defense can't seem to stop the constant stream of criticism that follows every one of Coco's posts. It's become a cycle. Coco posts provocative photos, the internet reacts negatively, Ice-T defends her, and then the whole thing starts over again a few weeks later. At this point, you have to wonder if the controversy is actually part of the strategy. One thing that's making this controversy particularly intense is Coco's age. At 46 years old, she's facing criticism that younger influencers and content creators simply don't deal with. There's a double standard at play here. Society seems more comfortable with 20-somethings posting bikini photos than they are with women in their 40s doing the same thing. But is this ageism, or are people making valid points about appropriate behavior for mothers and public figures? The debate is getting pretty heated, with people on both sides making passionate arguments. Some are saying that Coco should be able to post whatever she wants regardless of her age, and that the criticism is rooted in sexism and ageism. Others are arguing that there's a time and place for everything, and that someone in her position should consider the impact of her choices on her family and her public image. Let's talk about Coco's claims about paving the way, because this is where things get really interesting from a cultural perspective. The question isn't whether Coco was posting content online in the early 2000s. She was. The question is whether she was actually breaking new ground or just following trends that were already established. When Coco mentions following in Cindy Margola's footsteps, she's actually acknowledging that someone else was already doing this before her. So how can you claim to be paving the way when you're admitting you were following someone else's path? The internet has been quick to point out these contradictions, and people are doing deep dives into the history of online content creation, glamour modeling, and social media to fact-check Coco's claims. The results? Let's just say the evidence doesn't necessarily support her version of events. Here's where things get really complicated. Even if Coco wasn't the first person to post provocative photos online, does that mean she didn't have influence? The reality is that influence and innovation are two different things, and you can have one without the other. Coco Austin has had a significant online presence for decades, and she has influenced fashion, beauty standards, and social media behavior. But influence doesn't necessarily equal pioneering, and pioneering doesn't necessarily equal positive impact. The current generation of influencers and content creators are dealing with issues like mental health, body image, and online harassment that are directly connected to the type of content and culture that people like Coco helped normalize. So when she claims to have paved the way, people are asking, paved the way to what, exactly? One aspect of this controversy that can't be ignored is the impact on Coco's family, particularly her daughter Chanel. Critics have been consistently bringing up concerns about how these posts might affect her child, both now and in the future. There have been previous instances where Coco's posts involving her daughter have sparked backlash, with users commenting that certain images don't sit right with them. This adds another layer to the current controversy, because people aren't just judging Coco as an individual, they're judging her as a parent. The question becomes, at what point does personal expression cross the line into potentially harmful behavior for family members? And who gets to decide where that line is? This whole Coco Austin situation raises some really important questions about our culture and how we treat women, particularly women over 40, in the public eye. Are we holding her to a different standard because of her age, her marriage to Ice-T, or her role as a mother? Or are the critics making valid points about appropriate behavior and social responsibility? There's also the question of what it means to pave the way in the digital age. With social media and online content creation evolving so rapidly, can anyone really claim to have been first or most influential? And if you did help create certain trends or behaviors, do you bear any responsibility for the negative consequences of those trends? The phrase, "is there no shame?" that's been trending in connection with this controversy really gets to the heart of what people are feeling. It's not just about the bikini photos, it's about the refusal to acknowledge criticism, the bold claims about historical significance, and the apparent lack of consideration for how these choices affect others. But here's the flip side. Should there be shame? Should a 46-year-old woman feel ashamed for posting photos of herself in a bikini? Should she feel ashamed for claiming credit for her influence on internet culture? Or is the real shame in how society treats women who refuse to fade quietly into the background as they age? These are the questions that make this controversy about more than just Instagram drama. They're questions about gender, age, family, and social responsibility in the digital age. Based on her history and her recent responses, it doesn't look like Coco Austin is planning to change her approach anytime soon. She's made it clear that she's not backing down from the criticism, and she's not apologizing for her choices. The question is whether the public will eventually get tired of this cycle of controversy, or whether each new incident will continue to generate the same level of outrage and discussion. With social media algorithms favoring engagement, even negative engagement, there's actually an incentive for this type of controversy to continue. Meanwhile, the debate about women, aging, social media, and social responsibility will likely continue long after this particular controversy fades from the headlines. Look, at the end of the day, Coco Austin is a 46-year-old woman who's been in the public eye for decades. She's built a brand around her image and her willingness to push boundaries, and that's not likely to change just because people are uncomfortable. But the criticism she's facing isn't just about jealousy or ageism. It's about legitimate questions regarding influence, responsibility, and the impact of our choices on the people around us. Whether you think she's a pioneer who deserves respect, or someone who's lost touch with appropriate behavior, probably says as much about your own values as it does about hers. What's clear is that this conversation about women, age, social media, and family responsibility isn't going away anytime soon. And as long as Coco keeps posting and people keep responding, we'll probably be having this same debate again in a few months. So what do you think? Is Coco Austin a misunderstood pioneer who's being unfairly criticized, or are the people saying, "Is there no shame?" making valid points? Did she really pave the way for today's influencers, or is she taking credit where credit isn't due? Drop your thoughts in the comments, but keep it respectful. This is clearly a topic that brings out strong emotions on both sides, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because celebrity drama never sleeps, and neither do we. We'll be here to break down all the latest gossip, controversy, and cultural conversations that have everyone talking. Until next time, keep watching, keep discussing, and keep thinking critically about the content you consume and create. We'll see you in the next one.